Hello there, everyone. It is I, Trixie Valentine, in non-drag form on the amazing podcast that's all about the business, professional side, and leadership of drag. Glitter on my tips. For those who don't know and are new, you just shake your shimmy, your chest with us. That's a shimmy. That's the glitter on my tips because we're brushing it off and all that. But speaking of people who have really great tits to shimmy and drinks milk from the carton, give it up for my co-host, the one, the only, Alanya Chest.
Drinks milk from the carton?
I know. I didn't know what else to say. I know. I'm trying to spread a rumor. I hope it sticks.
It's very fitting because I'm eating Oreos.
I love it. Hello, everyone that's logging on. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Sierra. Hello, Willie. Thank you all for watching. Please share. Please subscribe to any platform that you're on. Please follow all of that. It really does help us spread the important education and fun facts and just knowledge that we hold dear to ourselves.
And it's much safer than spreading anything else. Spread the word.
Yeah, spread the word, not the germs that Alanya leaves in the milk carton.
Drinking it, raw dogging it from the carton.
I love it. We do not have a special guest today, but we don't need one because it's Trixie and Alanya. Like, honestly, we just bring other people here because they ask.
I think it's funny because it almost looks like we're in the same room.
We do. Yeah. I'm like behind, but like the opposite.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of the computer. Hey, girl. We need to have an episode where we're sitting in the same room together.
But we don't tell anyone we're in the same room.
No. Like, we're just there. That would be epic.
I would live for that.
And then I would be like, have to mute my mic and say, sorry, I have to tell my roommate to shut up. And it's you talking on the thing.
And I just start bullying you from.
I love it. Yeah. Hello, Reggie. Hello. Thank you for joining us. For today's tip and everything that we're going to talk about today, we're doing something a little bit different. Actually, before we get there, Alanya, how was your New Year's? Do you have any New Year's resolutions? Do you have anything that's coming up?
So my New Year's resolution is to be a little bit more organized and strategic in my planning.
I love that. Oh my God.
And it has stickers on it.
I love that. Stop it. Oh, and the little stickers. Okay, that's better thing. I love that. I think I feel like you are organized, but maybe that's something I don't know about you.
I'm a very organized individual. This was my way of being even more meticulously organized.
You're like,
writing down all of my shows all the shows that I have with all the schools.
Am I in any of those?
You are. I have Susquehanna on here.
I love Susquehanna. That's not until October, but that's okay. We have all year to then collaborate later. But no, I love that organization. For me, it's to express emotional understanding that I have. So explaining emotions a little bit better that I have. So it creates a better sense of understanding for relationships. Outside of that, my mantra of this year is I believed I could, so I did, which is the understanding of always taking action and being there. Yeah. I need a sticker book. I'm just going to start putting some faces of what they are on people.
Well, I started doing it as an incentive to utilizing a physical calendar. So every day that I complete, I get to pick out a new sticker.
I love that. I love that so much.
It's extremely juvenile.
Are you saying, well, I mean, we possibly could get glitter on my tips stickers. They're not hard to make.
Should. I mean, I have stickers too.
Yeah. I mean, we could, they could have our faces, like the ones we hold up, which we don't have to do today because.
One of the resolutions I made was I purchased something that most people my age would never purchase outside of a desk calendar.
Envelopes.
Envelope.
I love it.
And I told myself I will use one envelope per month, and I'll put $200 each month so that I can travel at the end of the year.
I love that. Stop it. You're so cute. I love that. I learned something about Alanya today, and it's not even in the book. I didn't even have to write about this.
You're welcome.
I love that.
She's an icon.
You really are. So how we are doing our tip today is because Alana and I, we went back on forth on a few and we really couldn't decide. It was one of those, she wanted something, but I was like, I don't really know. And then we're going to let chance leave it up to us. So I'm going to flip through this amazing book that you should find on Amazon called Tipping is a Must, which some of the people following us logging in today, just to let you know, Alana, have read this and have followed the instructions within here. And there has been success from what I've heard. Shout out to Sierra and also Willie, who have constantly let me know that they are actually getting booked and feeling confident in themselves. And that's what we're here for. At least I can say that's what I'm here for.
I feel like you and I should co-author a book together as like a sequel for the performer. Because one of the things that I constantly get messaged about is, how do I assert myself in terms of like booking fees and how do I ask to be in shows? Granted, Tipping as a Must is a great start. I feel like we can go even further in depth, and maybe that'll be our season like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and we could actually create a playbook. Like the playbook of where we just explain what it is, and then we go into like, here are the steps, and go, here's why it works. And I love that. I'm writing it down because it's going on my board. You can't see my board because it's out in a different place, because as a person who needs to get up from this desk, I can't stare at what I'm doing while also writing it down. But
so what we're going to do is Trixie is going to flip through the book and I'm going to tell her when to stop. Unless we've already done the tip.
Yes, if we've already done that, we'll have to do it again. Or if I land on our chapter pages, because there are some that it just doesn't have anything. So audience, are you ready?
Now I need you to hold it down and either choose to go from back to front or front to back, right?
You're always supposed to write front to back.
Yes. Note to self.
So I'm going to go from the back forward. Like that's, I'm going to go. So like it's starting at 100 technically and going to 1. That's how I'm going to do it. And I will do it this way.
You let me know when and I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay, I'm ready.
Now.
I was going to wait to do this one, but I think this is a good one. So it's tip number 84. Pronouns out of drag. That is our tip. I was going to wait for actually like National Pronoun Day to do this, but I think this is good to do now because it is what it is. So for those who don't know, this tip is for fans of drag, but drag performers can have different pronouns when in drag than they do out of drag. People can have different pronouns when out of drag. Some people do not like being called their drag persona when not in drag. Ask and find out how someone would like to be addressed when out of drag. So in that tip alone, it literally, it's all about the number one question of like, so what do you like to be called? Or dozens of situations where we're sitting there and go, do I call you she, he? What do I call you at this moment? Because my face is painted, but I look like this.
Let's put it this way. If you can ask your Dom what you can call them, you can ask us too. Is it sir? Is it daddy?
They said it. They said it.
What should I call you, sir? I'm definitely not sir. That's a start. Mommy? No, not mommy. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was called daddy in drag, and the only thing I thought was, no, that doesn't sound right. Mostly because
you're a twink?
I was gonna say my wig, but yeah, we can go with that.
So yes, when it comes to pronouns, so one of the things that I think is a very interesting topic is the subject of pronouns when it comes to in and out of drag. And I always find it very respectful when somebody asks. So in my last role at the Pennsylvania State University, the head dean asked me, she goes, when you're in drag, but you're at work, am I calling you David or am I calling you Alanya? Mm-hmm. I said, if the makeup is on, the hair is on, the fantasy is there, I'm fantasizing that you're calling me Alanya. And you're going to fulfill that fantasy.
Yeah. I would say, so the overall response, I would agree to that, is like, definitely ask. But if I'm in that fantasy moment, you better only see me as Trixie Valentine. That's it. There's no, like, I didn't do all this work to be called my other name.
Which work?
My chapstick I put on once in a while.
Do
Look,
you
my
mean the
roast,
craft
my
dinner?
roast is not here yet. You can.
Speaking of
But,
which, did you want to skip ahead and just talk about your roast that's coming up in a week?
I mean, I wanted to give my sense on the pronouns, but yeah, we can skip ahead. I love that. I love that idea.
I mean, we've already kind of segued. We might as well just talk
Rudy in
about our roast.
it. So I just celebrated my 30th birthday on Friday, January 12th.
So
And
she's
so
officially actually aged out of being a twink. Continue.
I did. Like someone showed up to my house, said, I need your twink card back. I need your youth card back. Like the only thing now is a bunch of old decrepit men in a shallow pool of the dating scene. That's
I
all.
was going to say, at least they didn't slap you with a mortgage too. I feel like that's the next.
Oh no, I'm poor. I can't do that.
Doesn't matter. Mortgage does not pay anyone.
Dirty 30 or flirt. Actually, everyone. My favorite part
30,
was
30, I'm thriving.
yes. Everyone kept saying it to me. I was the best thing in the world. I was like, they made me feel so good turning 30 when they're 30, 30 and thriving. I was here for it. I was here for it all
That's
day.
going to be me, like out back of the club, like, Alanya, what are you doing back there? You're not supposed to. 30, flirty, and thriving. Oh wait, no, let's put the hands down. Sorry.
Yeah. I have a roast at the Rolling Pines Golf Course in Berwick, Pennsylvania to celebrate. And it's not just a drag show, it's a roast. It's a roast. I'm here to slay and give it's a large set of performers, but it's a good one because everyone's doing one and they're kind of doing a mantra of something I've performed. So I'm very happy for that.
An homage to Trixie.
An homage. I mean, in only actually, what's today's date? Yeah, in almost 1 month and a day, I'll be celebrating my 10-year anniversary of drag too. So,
wow, 10 years,
10 years, 20 to 30,
and you still haven't accomplished it. No, I'm joking with you.
My brows now just look like cousins instead of sisters, but they will always look like cousins, not sisters. Yours look scary. Yours look like you were doing that canny video trend moment.
You know, it's funny because my younger cousins who are like under the age of 15, they're like, oh my gosh, you have like Naruto brows. I'm like, honestly, not upset about that. But in the same breath, yeah, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say you're giving me real anime. I like it. It means that
is there a drag queen named Anna May?
I don't know, but there needs to be now. Write that down. Whoever's watching, there you go. Free drag name right there, Anna May, and
you'll have your name in a song,
right? And I'll probably book them because
Anime. I said, eat the cake, anime. I'm nice. For y'all to reach these. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're so hyped today, and I enjoy it.
It's because I was watching something scary beforehand. I was watching The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Is that good?
So far, it's really good. And I'm not a horror person, but nonetheless, I digress. Our topic of the day, so far, we've already gone over what our topic of the day is, our tip. We've gone over the fact that we are roasting Trixie Valentine next week, and tickets are still available. And I promise you, as someone who has written all of their jokes and is someone who thrives on insult comedy.
Oh, it's gonna be so. Alanya gave me a little bit of what she's doing. I'm here for it. I have to make sure you don't drink anything because you will spit it out. And so we like to stay dry. There's a different tip in the book that's about the splash zone. This might literally have a splash zone. Yeah.
You know, now that we're having this conversation, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, it's a good thing I'm wearing my Barbie hat because the other hat that's up there, it says Daddy's Little Rag. And I'm like, ooh.
You know, you excite me. I learn so much about you every single episode, not just because I get to see your face while your expressions show everything that you're saying. Because we do this over the phone. I'm like, I don't know what she's looking like right now. It says all. So anyway, back to important things. No, if you are doing drag or going to audience, if you can't respect the simple fact of asking about pronouns, I'm sorry, you shouldn't actually be there. Like in the sense of like, in the sense of all respect, because I actually had this happen to me a week ago where somebody, like my pronouns naturally, like who they are outside of drag or they, them. And this person dead ass looked at me and said, I will never call you them, to my face, to my face. And I'm just like, oh yeah, you're a person that I don't need in my life. I'm good. I'm good. So like, it's just disrespectful in a way. Yeah.
So, I was actually very well educated by one of my performers who you actually know, and I love them. Love them to death. I have conversations with them on a semi-frequent basis. Peter Pansy.
Mm-hmm.
So my rule of thumb is always use they, them. Until you know what their pronouns are, use they, them. Gender neutral. And it's interesting because I introduced Peter Pansy as them. And he told me, he goes, no. In drag, it is he, him. It is not them. I thought to myself, this is why it's so important to ask. Because in drag, everyone's pronouns are completely different. Do not reference me as he, him, they, them. Now, they, them, I won't be upset about, but I would prefer she, her. I'm giving you an illusion. I'm giving you a certain storyline. And that is my expectation.
Yeah. I actually had the same with Peter Pansy because right before they went on, I literally, in my mind, was like, I forgot. Like, I forgot to ask. And so I was like, well, they're a drag king, but I also just don't know, because I've also met drag kings and queens that are like, no, my pronouns are they, them, regardless of what the illusion is. And so I didn't want to be like he and then mess up. So I went with the gender neutral option because it's neutral until I could ask them. And I said they, and then they came back, and then I asked them, and they said, no, it's he. And I said, thank you for letting me know. And then they were like, and then they let me know what I said on the mic, and I explained to them, I was like, I know it was I made the mistake of not asking before they went on. And it was a quick, easy conversation to go through. But it happens. It can happen. And we just can't make that assumption all the time or anytime, really. Like it's not there. And I think it's interesting about how in drag we are able to change that, because so many times people are like, oh no, pronouns are like stationary and like you look like this, so you have to have them, when in fact drag in itself literally shows that we literally can change everything that you see.
Yeah, Trixie can go from Mixed Kelly to Mixed Kelly with a wig on. No, but Jackie Hoffner just put a very great comment in. I feel there's somewhat a drag pronoun as well. I've been asked if I want to be introduced as an AFAB queen. No, baby, I'm just a drag queen. And that's true. Ask before you make statements, because guess what? We've had terms like AFAB queens. We've had femme queens. We've had cis queens.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes all of 2 seconds to say, hey, what pronouns would you like me to use for you while you're in drag? It doesn't matter how long you've known the person, you can still ask. It does not matter. If you forgot, you can still ask.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's interesting because I actually teach a class specifically on pronouns and gendered language specifically. And every time I teach it, it actually makes me similar to this conversation of why do we get hung up on the idea that we can't do something because we have to relearn it, or we have to unlearn to relearn. And like in that entire class, I'm like, okay, we're about to unlearn. And I use the example of Goldilocks or Red Riding Hood, depending on which story I'm feeling comfortable that day. But typically I like to be surrounded by 3 bears, both the same thing. But but in that story, I go, so why do we know if Goldilocks is a woman or female? And like we go through this scenario and I go, okay, whatever pronoun you want to use for Goldilocks, how you tell the story, let's start there. And then we change the entire scenario right after everyone does. And I go, okay, now you're going to pick a different pronoun for Goldilocks. That's not the one you just used. And then like we go through that learning thing of like what happens if you mess up, and so you go forward, and it like pushes people out of their comfort. And eventually they practice it so long, within 50 minutes they're like, this got a lot easier because you actually took time to unlearn to learn something. And it's the same situation. In fact, it's actually easier to learn someone's pronouns when you don't know them because there's not a preconditioned understanding about them.
Exactly. And I feel like part of this discussion comes from the mindset that everyone is scared to be wrong. Not only is everyone scared to be wrong, they're scared to be rejected, and rejected in the sense that you are being scolded. So to me, one of the things that I've put on my to-do list for this year, so I've split my year up into 4 quarters, just like a business. One of my goals for now till April is to learn how to be comfortable with rejection. I'm pushing myself in situations where I know that I'm going to be rejected just to desensitize myself to that. Because oftentimes our sense of self and our perceived expectation of what it is that we're supposed to know and not know is still clouded by societal expectations. And when you start getting into the mindset of, I'm okay with being uncomfortable if it means that I'm going to learn something, that I'm going to be able to do something that I didn't think that I could do, that's my goal. My goal is to make myself uncomfortable and learn something new.
The understanding of sitting in discomfort. And that is actually where we do the most learning is like we can sit in discomfort with ourselves, but then when we start sitting in discomfort also then with others, and then sitting in discomfort in like larger scenarios, each one provides a different feeling, because we might feel discomfort with ourselves right now and we might just be like, oh, this is uneasy, but when we're sitting with others it could feel like we're embarrassed. And so to me, that's how I've learned to progress, of being uncomfortable with others, because I've sat with uncomfortability. So I know what it feels like. And then that embarrassment feeling goes away and it's kind of like, this is a little uncomfortable. It's a little salty, but it's not something it's not a barrier.
And I really do want to reiterate to everyone who's watching right now that this is not just a space for us to educate you. This is a space for you to ask questions and feel comfortable asking these questions, because we understand that not everybody knows these things. Yeah. Our goal is to educate in a way that feels safe, it feels comfortable, it's fun, you enjoy it, you feel engaged, and you can sit with your discomfort with us behind the comfort of your screen. Because there are certain things that none of us know, and it's okay to not know.
I love that.
Ask the questions.
I will put this comment up. That was up by Willie. Respect is being respectful, not being a mind reader. And I think, I think now, Willie, you can tell me if I'm wrong on how I might interpret this, but to me, it's the understanding if communication's not there, it's a little bit harder because we're uncertain or we just don't know. And there is a saying like, you don't know what you don't know. That's where ignorance comes from. Like, ignorance to me is not always a bad term. It's literally the lack of education. That's the definition. So, but at the same time, you're right. We can't read everyone's mind, but we also have that responsibility and control of communicating. So are you taking the initiative to communicate, or are you bypassing it?
And I love that, because it's okay to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I know that some people had adverse responses to when a mistake is made. I personally, every time someone asks me the same question of, hey, what pronouns am I supposed to use with you? I go, okay, so my preference is for they, them. I kind of dissociate a little when you use he, him, but they, them, chef kiss. And guess what? I see it as a respect. You respect me enough to not assume, to not ask everyone else, but to come to me directly and say, hey, Alania, how would you prefer to be addressed? Hey, I forgot. People forget things, and that's okay.
I think that's like, there's a level of compassion and humanity in agreeing with when we go, it's okay to forget or, not remember. But I kind of want to play devil's advocate in the sense that there is a fine line, because microaggressions can occur where we constantly use the idiom of, oh, I forgot. Because once it becomes a pattern of forgetting, then the only thing I have to say is then, where are you going to then make the effort into not forgetting? Like, where's the work really need to be done?
Where is the sense of accountability?
Yes.
Yeah. How are we going to rectify this moving forward? So, hey, Trixie, I completely forgot your pronouns. I am so sorry. I'm going to write them down this time. And your contact. I'm going to open up my phone. I'm going to open up your contact and put Trixie and your pronouns. That way, moving forward, I don't have to ask you. And I know. And if they do change, please let me know and I will gladly update them. Because guess what? Gender is what? Fluid.
I'm just tasting that real good Dr. Pepper. It's fluid. It's there. It's real. It's real. It exists. It's not fabricated in the understanding that we might hear
And it's
about.
not that anyone's trying to be difficult. It's not that anyone's trying to ruin your day by saying, hey, you used the wrong pronoun. Take it as a learning opportunity. Say, okay, I hear you, and I will incorporate this moving forward. You don't have to harp on, oh my gosh, I called you the wrong pronouns. I'm so sorry. If you use the wrong pronouns, for me personally, I would prefer you go, if you say, yeah, I was talking with Alanya and she said, and keep going. Do not stop completely and make it a whole entire discussion of, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Say, I'm sorry about that. She likes to X, Y, and Z.
Yes. Yes. And that continues in and out of track. Now here's a good part to the conversation that was part also with that definition. And that's when people who only know us as drag, see us like this, what happens? Because, there's too many people like, oh, Trixie, oh my God. I'm like clearly you only know me as Trixie. So I like, that's fine. That's my drag persona. But like, there is that intention though to be like, do you know who I am out of drag? And like, do you know how to respect me the same way you do as my drag altercation?
And I think that's such an interesting premise because I'm the person that if I'm introduced to you as X, I expect you to address me as X, even when everyone else is calling me Y. So if Trixie came up to me and was like, hey, David, I'd be like, like, ew, gross. Please don't call me David, call me Alanya. That is how you know me. That's how you are introduced to me. It's like people who have been introduced to David, and I'm like, okay, please don't call me Dave. I introduce myself as David. And that's a big one for me. That's like major cringe, major ick for me is when you call me Dave and I'm just like not expecting it. I don't respond to Dave. You could yell Dave from across the room. My head's not turning because my name isn't Dave. My birth certificate says David.
Yeah. I think, well, even when I introduce myself as Jacob, I always put Jacob first because everyone will then ask me, like, is your real name Jake? Like, no, like I will say my name's Jacob, and I will always say you can call, like everyone can call Jake. But I want the preference though, because I've had mistakes happen where people are like, who's Jake Kelly? And I'm like, I don't know who Jake Kelly is. Why? Because in certain settings, they have to or should refer to me as Jacob Kelly, because that's when I start becoming more published or more in that realm of scholar stuff. That will matter. Like how you look up.
When she becomes more invested in academia and research and she started publishing more, she has a certain level of rapport that she needs to build to gain credibility. And people calling you Jake instead of Jacob is quite honestly disrespectful.
Yeah.
And soon it will be Dr. Kelly.
And I'm kind of here for it.
So make sure you're asking questions. It hurts so much less to just ask and be in control of the situation. Just go, hey, instead of having to be corrected or scolded or saying, no, that's not, because I would rather be the person who's like, I'm just going to ask so that nobody else yells at me. I would rather be respectful so that no one else is mad at me. And when it comes to dating, that's another great topic. I dated someone once who actually was introduced to Alanya, went to my shows, and then started dating David.
Mm.
And they asked me, they're like, okay, so if we're going to be dating, like, am I calling you David or am I calling you Alanya? And I'm like, oh, that's gross. That's gross to think about. Because you're not dating Alanya, you're dating David, but I don't want you calling me David because you met me as Alanya. And that was a conversation I had to figure out for myself first in order to relate to him and go, okay, so I'm okay with you calling me David. Because we are dating, you are not dating Alanya, you are dating David.
I'm glad you brought that up because I find it so unattractive when somebody's like dating. If I'm dating someone like, oh, this is Trixie Valentine, and like the way of like they're dating Trixie Valentine, I hope their entire life they are like, no, I'm dating Jacob. I don't care if I'm at a full show in full Trixie Valentine, and someone's like, "Oh, you're dating her?" The answer is yes, but yes in the sense of like that's my person, but in response to it's like, but I'm dating the person behind the performer.
And I think that's so
the
interesting.
correction
I
needs to
keep it
happen.
so separated. I'm like, if you are dating David, you're dating David. You are not dating Alanya. Alanya is her own person. She has her own job. I love drag husbands, drag boyfriends, the ones who are like, oh no, I'm not dating the drag performer. I'm dating the person behind the drag. I have no authority whatsoever or any interest in the drag persona outside of entertainment. I am dating the person. And it's a huge distinction to make. Because if I was dating another drag queen, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm dating, for example, I'm not going to say I'm dating Trixie Valentine. I'd be like, I'm dating Jacob Kelly. Why? Because why would I date someone with such bad drag?
The same reason why I wouldn't.
Ask. It's a very simple, easy conversation to have.
Yes.
It's one that I feel our community has grown accustomed to having. Granted, it is not your job to educate everyone on everything.
Yes, there is a matter of labor. Actually, I have to give it out to the people who are respectful around who's educating who, because so many times at shows, people are going beyond just asking. Sometimes it's, well, why? Or can I ask you this question, and insert some weird metaphor that they thought about in their bedroom where they had one hand on themselves, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not educating the situation right now. I'm gonna go get on the mic and probably make a joke about it now. Like, that's what I'm about to go do. Why? Because I'm not there to educate. You can take my consulting fee up at the door. But it is a lot of labor. There's a mental and intellectual labor that goes into when we consistently have to do these micro education. That's what I like to say, micro education type moments in these settings. It's like ask your question and move on. So
I'm going to mute myself for 2 seconds because there's a quote that I have here that I need to find real quick on a video.
That's okay.
And when I tell you it has changed my perception of everything, I really mean it has changed my perception on everything in regards to educating people on your time. Give me 1 second.
You're good. I'm actually going to bring up some of the comments that were here. So we have Jackie, definitely fluid in drag as well, because I know many performers who are king sometimes and queens others. Right. Also, people's drag styles can change. Like, I know someone who only ever did drag king stuff, and then now they're moving to more drag femme or drag queen type of stuff. So it can change even that way. And Willie, I agree with you. That feeling of joy when people ask, because for me, it's a sense of like care. We care about the person enough to ask them and address them. Reed, how are you? I hope you're doing good. I don't know what your question is, just says, excuse me. So with that, though, I mean, you're welcome. And then Willie, my drag persona is available, but not available at the same time. So how could you date them? Right. Like, drag is a tiny part that comes out at different times, but we're here the whole time. This is us. And I definitely agree with that too. Like, this is who we are. This is the autonomy, and the intellectual property of who we are is the intellectual property of who we are. Like, I definitely agree with that. And so Alanya has found the quote.
All right. So education without fair and appropriate compensation is an oppression of your time.
Yo, you need to send that to me. I need to put that up on my wall.
Because when I heard that, it's not about just educating. When you are looking to someone who is a professional, especially someone who is part of a marginalized community that has an expertise in something that has nothing to do with that marginalized community that they're a part of. When you are asking them to educate you on a marginalized community matter, it is an oppression of your time if you are not compensating them for that time. That is why free platforms like this exist, where you can ask your questions and it's free.
It's also not just free, but Alanya and I actually are dedicating this time for it. It's free, but it's in use and it's here for that. And the platform is to go beyond. Like I actually, the best thing I learned from a good colleague of mine was the information you hear today is to hope to go back into the circles that you have to create the same ripple, if not more or bigger. And it's not that you need to go become the educator, because you don't have to become an educator after this, but you can apply what you know and people might pick up on it. People might actually understand a little bit more. And it's just a ripple effect of continuation. Because even if we could talk for hours on the same topic, but that doesn't mean you'll learn it. That doesn't mean you'll go do it. So, but this is also the place for that discomfort. You know, how do you do something? How do you know if? What if it feels like this? Yeah. Like, David, what does it feel like when you have to look at me in the face and say I'm pretty?
Usually I'm not looking at your face. I'm usually looking directly into your eyes, so I can see my own reflection when I say it.
Yo, I hate you. You disgust me, David. Alanya.
Yeah, Jake.
Actually, okay, I'll just say it. So I will say there are certain times where I'm too close with somebody, and I'll take my twin as an example, because we were in the back of one of Harpy's shows, and it was just nonstop. Like, I'm yelling, Harpy, Harpy, Harpy. Didn't hear me, but the minute I said Harpy's other name or real name, they are like, why would you say that in front of others? And I was like, because I could not get your attention. So
it's that mom.
Yeah,
mom.
So I will say, I know. But I've also been on the mic where it slips, and I'm like, yeah, that's Harpy Daniels.
Also, with that being said, I want to reiterate that this is a case of Trixie is talking about a personal experience with their twin.
Yes.
With their blood-related twin.
Yeah.
Do not take that as an excuse to dead name someone.
No.
That is not okay.
Yes.
Just because you can't get their attention and you know their dead name does not mean that you should be utilizing it just to get their attention. You're going to get a lot more than just their attention.
I think that's a good distinction to make up, because our drag names, in our out of drag names, and then for those in the trans and or non-binary communities, there's the dead name. And so there's never a reason you should be using someone's dead name ever. Whereas in the situations I'm explaining is literally is the person's name out of drag and then their drag name.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think you bring up a really good point, Alanya, on like there is that confusion, because there is a lot of the times that in the drag scene, the outside world only sees this as this other community, or it's blended, and they really have a hard time distincting, and that can come up. And I definitely am happy you brought up the fact that dead names exist, and it's never a reason to ever bring up. And you should never ask. You should never ask for someone's dead name.
So, in regards to our topic of, pronouns, names, they matter when you're addressing someone. You would not go into your doctor's office and not call them Dr. So-and-so, whatever their name is, insert name. You would respect their honorific. They were not always a doctor, but they worked for that. A trans person is working to be the person that they know that they are.
I love that. I've never heard it put that way. I love that.
Well, thank you. But when it comes to names and pronouns, please just be respectful enough to have the decency to ask. Even if you were to see someone call me David and you know me as Alanya, say, hey, Alanya, am I allowed to call you David? Chances are I'm going to say no. But, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
It's a matter of respect. Yeah. And you don't have to be it from start to finish for someone to respect your pronouns.
Mm-mm.
Guess what? Out of drag, I do not use she, her. I don't. But in drag, I do.
Well, I agree. I literally agree with that. I think parts of who I am I would also move it beyond pronouns when I have to put that first, because there are times then there are other words that people associate with who I am, depending on who they are. And like Alania's a really good friend of mine and has the freedom. Alania's allowed to call me Trixie any time of the week and use the pronouns she, her, or she might also say yes, girl, right? And like there's gendered language there that if you don't know me like that, you don't know me like that. Like out of drag, I've had people go, "Oh yeah, girl queen," and I'm like, "Do I know you?"
Willie asked a very interesting question. I'm going to ask for a little bit more clarification on the question. It says, any advice on the limbo phase of realizing the disconnect from your real name?
Yeah, I am also going to need.
I'm going to need a little bit more
I think the limbo phase is what's throwing me off a little bit.
Yes. So I'll take, until I get the interpretation, I'm just going to interpret it myself while we wait. So any advice on the limbo phase of realizing the disconnect from your real name? So when, I'm not going to lie, when I'm in the persona of Alania, that is my full mentality. I'm not listening for David anymore. I'm listening for Alania, because in that moment, David's not present. If you call me David, I'm not going to know you're talking to me. If you call me Alania when I'm David, I can't even say that. I won't acknowledge it because I probably will. Because honestly, I respond more to Alania than I do David. Now, it also depends on your relationship with the person. Like Trixie said, we're close enough and we know each other well enough that, yeah, girl, sure, girl, yeah, yeah, Trixie, even when she is not Trixie.
Yeah. And I've seen people get themselves in these situations because it sometimes gets blasted on social media, or you hear about it, or they lose the relationship of wanting to work with somebody, where people don't actually engage with how they want to be addressed, specifically in drag, and then therefore can cause harm, right? Because in that sense, you're not you. I don't know what you're looking. Are you looking at me?
No, I'm looking at the comments. So I want to address two things.
Sorry, girl. I was like, I didn't think I said
not
anything.
you, not you. Two things. So first one, Jackie Hoffner, you just put a comment in there about, when someone knows you as your government name first and then you go into drag. If my coworkers all know me as David and the second they come to a show, it's Alania, and I've only been working there for a couple of months, I can promise you they can also do that as well. They can tell the difference. Just like when you're at school, you might be like, hey, Mix Kelly, and outside of school, maybe it is a first name basis. I've only gotten told to just be silent until it's fully sorted, but that does not feel right. Sorry, I wasn't no clue on the right wording. So no, don't wait. If you feel the conversation that you feel comfortable enough to wait, sure. If you feel comfortable, it is on your time. Those are your pronouns, and it is up to the other person to respect them. If they're utilizing the wrong pronoun or you want them to use a different pronoun, you can say, I'm going to stop you there really quickly. Moving forward, please, if you can just, and that's me being nice. That's me being nice for the person who is not as assertive. You're going to say something along the lines of, if you can, moving forward. For me personally, I would say moving forward, to be assertive, moving forward, you will utilize these pronouns when addressing me. Continue with what you were saying. And then you.
For me, I actually just want to say that there's a place of privilege when someone makes a remark of wait till you sorted it out. They are sitting in a place of privilege. There is cis normativity, a place of privilege, or cis privilege, where they get to sit there and be like, well, I've had mine figured out, so you don't get that thing because I'm gonna be uncomfortable, or like it's gonna make no sense, or I'm gonna have to put the work and effort in. And the other person is just like, I'm just trying to learn who I am and figure out who I am and decide who I am. And that situation can backfire and cause people to go back in the closet, or have discomfort, or feel rejected or invalid, or have a cycle of then anxiety or depression when they're around this person, because there's a level of not showing of comfort or psychological safety. And I do want to call that out when that happens. That's not easy to call someone out in that situation. But the best thing to do for me is I will recognize it. I'm like, oh, so because in this moment I get that uncertainty, I can't address it with you. I've been known to be like, well, let's look at other places of uncertainty that I've had to sit with you. Like when you were in your job training and you didn't know what you were doing and I had to teach you and train you. Or when you had lack of education in something and you came to me and was just like, can you teach me more, even though I'm uncertain about the topic? Like there are ways in which you can help pull in that understanding of like, this is literally what you're saying and doing. And it's in my case, that's hypocritical.
Now, for the comment made by Jackie, now Jackie, I'm using Jackie because that's what I see here. If you would prefer to be called Vindictive Glamour, it doesn't matter how long you've been a part of the drag community as a third person. You are a part of the drag community and you have a drag name. You also have a legal name. If, as a business perspective for your photography, you want to go by Jackie, say, when I am doing photography, please call me Jackie. If you would prefer to be called your drag name, say, hey, I understand you know me as, please instead use my drag name. It makes me feel more comfortable. And that's perfectly fine. Guess what? You get to dictate what people call you.
Yeah.
To your face. Because the things I call Trixie behind her back.
That's because she comes on my face. So so she has to say it behind me. That's typically the position I prefer. So no, I agree. You can't control everyone, but you can demand the respect in the room for who you are. But it's not easy. There is some tiring because there's too many times where I don't correct people because I'm exhausted. And that's where allyship comes in. That's where people can step up for you. But don't go out of your way to be like, I'm a superior ally and I'm going to correct them, because I actually had this happen last year in November. I went to a very heteronormative networking event for my business to start networking. And so many people were using the wrong pronouns or addressing me in some kind of way. I did have a few people who recognized me as Trixie. And for them, it was a little bit easier to be like, well, I'm just Jake tonight. I may be in a dress and a little bit fancy, but I'm not in drag. Like, this is who I am. And it got to the point one of my friends goes, and this is perfect allyship in my sense. Not that there is such thing as perfect allyship, but he did such a great job by going, do you want me to address this for you when it comes up? Or even like maybe you're not here and you might want to walk away. Like, would you feel comfortable if I did that for you? And I looked at him, I was like, there is about 300 people in this room. We don't have that time. Like I had taken on the labor to be like, I'm going to be okay after I leave this situation. In fact, what it does is allow them to hand them my business card and say, I think you need to hire me. So I use it in my advantage, but he did such a great job in asking me if I needed support and allyship, because he was all for it. He was like, he didn't step in and go, no, this is Jake, this is her, because he also was afraid of outing me and who I was and in my identity in these situations that could become harmful fast. So I just wanted to put that out there, that was a perfect way to kind of address and add on.
And that just gave me such like good feelings, because when I tell you there's nothing better than an ally, I don't want the ally who just jumps in and goes, well, no, like this is, I want the ally that goes, hey, are you okay if I do this for you? Like, just in case I'm having a conversation with anyone, are you okay with me correcting them? Or, if someone misgenders you or uses the wrong pronouns, are you okay with me stepping in? Because, this doesn't have to be, oh my God, like when you ask for that, listen, I don't care what we're doing after this. I know what we're going to be doing after this.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that gets me more excited than someone who asks, hey, I know that this can be a burden for you at times. It's such a sexy act of service. Like, oh my gosh, like the fact that you offered, hey, we're at this meeting together, I know that you're not going to want to correct everyone. Are you okay with me doing that too? Well, yeah, of course. I'm okay with that. Ask first. Don't just jump in and go, well, no. And there's no need to shame. Just go, hey, I want you to know Trixie uses these pronouns. And it looks like you should be hiring her.
You should. But I love that, because I will say, even though you and Alanya, Alanya, and I are in the same community, that's still support. When I'm pretty sure we've done it for each other. We're like, do you need help, or is there support? How can I help you? Or like, what do you need from me? What can I be there for you? And that to me is just friendship. But when we put it in the same context, you don't have to. It works both when you know somebody and not know someone. Because when we know someone, we typically become lenient, or like relaxed and just
complacent.
We become complicit. We make more mistakes that way too. But when it's strangers, we're just like, oh, I don't know, and I'm not sure. So there is also that intertwined mentality of making sure we are being conscious, even if with our comfort or complacency with each other.
If you take two things from this, I want you to take two questions from this. The initial question, how can I help support you? Second question, what does that support look like to you? Because what I consider support, Trixie might not consider support. When you ask those two questions, you are covering your bases and you are being such a great ally because you're saying, I want to support you. I love you. I cherish you, X, Y, Z, whatever you want to say. And then you're going right into, what does that support look like? Because it looks different. Your version of support might be more detrimental to the other person. Ask them, what does that look like? And you can ask that question in regards to work too. You can ask that anywhere. If someone says, hey, can you do this for me? Okay, what does that look like? What kind of commitment does that look like? Ask that to your trans, to your performers, to anyone. Say, what does that look like?
It actually goes to a phrase. I don't believe in the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I think that's garbage. Because it means we get lazy. It means we get complicit. It means that we don't take accountability in our own actions, or that we center ourselves around the experience of others that we don't have the ability to. And instead, it goes into the exact thing what you just said, but it's treat people the way they want to be treated. That is the platinum rule. Like, it goes above gold. It's whatever the thing is. That is the rule of what needs to be addressed. And it actually lacks. It's supposed to be a progressive type thing of like, we are progressing, but that right there alone of treating people the way they want to be treated in that sentence literally says, oh, I have to get to know someone or find the understanding to allow to treat them the way they want to. Yeah, that's respect, because that person should be doing it the same back. They should be treating the way you want to be treated. So I'm kind of deciphering some of the things in the comments. So I'm having a little hard time, but that's okay. So, yeah. So I'm going to let anyone in this chat here. We're going to be ending here shortly. Like, it is a quick one, but actually, it's not a quick one. An hour is not quick. That is a lot of time. If you have your last minute questions or compliments, because Alanya and I love compliments. It's just me, really. Alanya is not a big fan of compliments. But she takes healthy feedback. Or constructive. That's the word. Constructive feedback. But I don't think there's anyone in the audience that have the ability to do that to you. So what type of questions do you might have, or things that are coming up? I do want to thank everyone for sharing. Really, that's actually a really good point. Like, as a people pleaser, I don't always treat myself the best. So if I went off of the golden rule of like treat the way people I want to be treated, I don't know if they'd be getting treated that well. Thank you always. Of course, Amanda, thank you for always joining. Thanks for also coming to my party and always just being a light. You are so sweet. Alanya, while we might wait for one or two last questions that are pending or thinking for people in here, you did give us 2 takeaways. But who are some people you hope to see on this show?
Let's see. I would love to see. Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I would love to see Amethyst Diamond. I would love to see Jocelyn Dickinson. I would love to see Tequila Daniels.
Okay, that's 3. I like 3. You already said 2 of mine, but I'll give 3 different ones.
Oh, Harpy Daniels.
Oh, that's a given. Sorry. Yes. Harpy, literally, whenever we have the chance for our schedules to match with Harpy Daniels, it will be an automatic yes. I will literally move my entire schedule if I can. For me, I want to see Samantha Chanel. I want to see
Stormy Sky.
Ooh, Stormy Sky, yes.
Miss Gay Maryland's America. Current.
I know I asked you this, and I'm putting myself on the spot, and I'm having a harder time than you are. I don't know who else do I want to see. Who else do I want to? Oh, Jennifer Warner. I'd like to see Jennifer. Ooh, Michelle Sterling, definitely.
Yes. Divinity Cruise.
Divinity Cruise. She would be a good one to have on here.
Fancy.
Yes, that's it. We're done. Once we say it together, we're done. It's fine. Good. I like where we went. Anyone that's watching, if you know other people who are interested, please share, please like, please let them know. Why? Because this is glitter on my tips. Brett. I love it. So with that, though, thank you all for coming to be here to watch. Our next episode will roughly be in 2 weeks. If our Mondays, actually, what's that?
Let me grab my calendar.
Okay, that should be okay for me. Roughly in 2 weeks, and I can't wait to see you all there. Devastation, yes. So Devastation also should be on here. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, she's a good one. Love her. Can't wait to meet her and see her sometime again soon.
Poison.
Ooh, Poison. I love that.
Yes. For kings, we do need kings.
I would like Peter.
I was about to say Peter too.
Tansy. We have also Oliver Twist.
We do. Oliver's been doing it for a while too.
They've been out for quite some time, longer than me, I think. A little bit longer than me. Yeah.
So, with that being said, we really appreciate you all tuning in tonight.
Thank you all. Take care. And stay happy. Oh, sorry. And as always, Glitter on My Tips is about the professional, business, and leadership side of drag.